Now, moving on to our next session, we are diving into a bold and timely topic that's sure to speak some debate. I'm pleased to welcome back Jason, who will moderate our Oxford-style debate on the motion, retail media measurement will move beyond ROAS in 2025, incrementality will be king. Jason, over to you to introduce our two speakers and get the debate underway.
Thanks, Patricia. Hi, everyone. It's great to be back with you. I just first wanted to give a massive thanks to Kim, Julian, Emma, Robert, for getting us off to such a strong start. I watched a YouTube video. It was like fails of the week or something, and this guy driving a big digger, he makes a mistake and backs into a big silo, and the whole silo breaks, and all of the corn sort of pours out. So I was just thinking of that as we were going through this discussion, and we got Emma with unification and Robert with more retailer inventory, and I think Paul more importantly with continued growth. So it's so exciting, and yeah, let's all be that guy in the digger who doesn't know how to reverse. So back to the program. I'm delighted to be moderating this Oxford-style debate, where we'll be tackling a very hot topic in the retail media space, which is retail media measurement will move beyond ROAS, that's return on ad spend, in 2025, and incrementality will be king. So this is a statement that sparked a lot of conversation recently. And today we've invited two fantastic experts to go head to head to share their perspectives. So one is going to argue for the motion and the other against. So please join me in welcoming Paul Dahill. He's the Managing Director of Sales at Koddi, and also Marta Piotrowska, Director of Media and AI in Martech and Retail Media at Allegro. So before we hear their arguments, we'd love to get a sense of where you stand on this issue. So a poll should now appear on your screen. So do let us know, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Retail media measurement will move beyond ROAS, return on ad spend, in 2025, and incrementality will be king. So I can see the poll up there, so do get your votes in immediately. Great to see that. It says the hosts and panelists cannot vote. That's a shame. I did just try and vote. But never mind. My opinion doesn't count on this one. Super. So right, we're very close. So we have 65% who agree and 35% who disagree. So let's see if that changes. So now over to our speakers. What do you think on this? I think we're going to go with Paul first for his opening statement.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Paul Dahill over at Koddi, as you can see. So my opening statement is that I am Team ROAS, right? So ROAS has been the driver of retail media success. It has been foundational for retail media. But my core argument is that replacing it with one single metric is risky, right? So incrementality becoming king. So if ROAS has helped retail media gain credibility, right? Because brands now could run media campaigns and actually easily get that kind of return on ad spend. It's been foundational. It's still used frequently. It's well understood by the market. Is it flawed? Well, I think Marta's going to make a case that it may well be. But my concern is replacing it with one new king metric risks repeating some of the same mistakes that we've made before. And let's not swap one incomplete lens for another. I rest my opening statement. Over to you, Marta.
Yes, so Paul, thanks for introducing me as well. Indeed, I agree with you on one thing. ROAS indeed was fundamental to bring the growth to the retail media networks because it provided the brands what they did not have, which is actual some results on performance when it comes to the sales. But if you think about what ROAS is actually measuring, or how we measure ROAS, which is usually click-based, either last click or data-driven click attribution models, all of them are super flawed because they are still, based in 2010 when search engines were king in the industry, because that is how the consumers were behaving. These 15, 20 years ago, they were searching it in the search engines, clicking on a product, buying on different marketplaces or e-commerce players. Now, as you know, the social media also are big in the recent years, so no one, or maybe not that many people, are searching for the product through the standard shopping paths, but you do want to be inspired on TikTok, Meta, Pinterest, and all the other both global or local players. And I don't remember ever clicking on a TikTok ads and buying, but I do remember having so many fashion clothes that I really don't need that TikTok made me buy. So that's something that what I would argue back is ROAS is flawed. And so we can talk about incrementality in a second. And we do need to find a better measurement for the brands, because also the panelists before us were very much focusing on the relevancy of the audience data. And this is actually the core of what retail media networks can bring to the table, is the audience targeting, is also opening the upper funnel, is not only looking at the flawed attribution models that we are still trying to fix.
Thank you so much. Great opening statement. So clearly we have Paul, whose team ROAS, and that it shouldn't be replaced with another metric that becomes king. I think Marta raises some very, very valid points there around it being outdated, because of the click attribution models. A very, very interesting point as well around how the new channels that have arisen, drive influence, without there being a click within the consumer journey. That's really, really interesting. Paul, how do you respond to that?
I mean, I'm not going to argue against that. Some of the ways that ROAS is calculated today need some work, right? There's whole sessions on standardization, and there's we were just talking about that again, I think a little bit on the previous panel. But going back to the overall kind of debate here that incrementality will be king, the answer to solving the challenges around how ROAS is measured, I don't think, is introducing another golden metric of incrementality. I think that I also want to just make a point here for some of us on the call that are thinking about, well, incrementality has been around for a long time and in store, right? Certainly for geo holdouts, etc., right? So it's nothing new. But I think what we can say about how incrementality has been run up until this point is that it's been hard. It's hard to put together. Does it actually scale? And has that created complexity in that it can't be part of every campaign necessarily, because it's hard to pull that together. There was a recent example, a bit of a name drop here around GoPuffs that some of you might have seen, where they talked about a 40% incremental lift, and that's fine, right? I'm not getting into that, but it was more that there are platforms out there that can run these things now, but other platforms may struggle. Maybe they don't have the right technology in place, or maybe they don't have the scale to be able to run a true incrementality test. Like, how big is the holdout group, right? Getting into those kind of details. So I worry that we might end up here in a kind of measurement arms race, right? With smaller retail media networks being kind of left behind. So yeah, that's kind of a concern that I have there. Maybe it can't be a universally applied metric.
So I hear you, Paul, and I do think it's a valid concern, because in ideal world, we should have a transparent measurement that can be applied across everyone, both big players, but as well as small players, because this is the industry that should not be, just promoting the biggest out there. And I think this is also the role of people that are on this call, of the regulators or the branches like EIB Europe, to really help fast forward the technology to build a technology that can actually measure the incrementality in a fair way, or pivot it to the metric that could be the new way of measuring the retail media network. Because the moment that we are stuck in the past, we are like characters from this Back to the Past. The world has changed, and even while I'm speaking about social media, this is also becoming the past fact right now, because we do have all the Gen AI that is starting to revolutionize how we are actually consuming the purchases, and we need to add them to the picture. So my point here is you will never have a perfect KPI, and introducing multiple KPIs has the challenge also of some high-level CTOs, CEOs, CFOs that might not fully grasp all the media metrics that we run on a daily basis. So at least suggesting them something that is, arguably much better than what we were stuck is a good evolution to the future. And also, it might start this discussion of, what is the technology behind the scene, or how we can push different platforms to actually enable brands to run incrementality tests, A/B tests at scale ongoingly, and be able to learn what is actually working for their brand, which communication message, which touch point, which targeting, which audience.
Super. So thank you so much. That was a really, really interesting round. I'm just going to recap. So I think Paul touched on, ROAS isn't perfect. The calculation does need work. We've done a lot of this around the standards at IAB Europe as part of the committee, which is great. Things should be addressed around how it is measured. You gave the example around, GoPuff and the 40% incremental lift, but, pointed out that this is not consistent across platforms. And I do love the term that you coined, a measurement arms race. And if we do get into that situation, we are going to get into that scenario where it isn't equal. And yeah, I think Marta, you were aligned to this in a sense that we need to have a transparent and inclusive solution that's available to all retailers, not just those who are big and have all of the scale, but then you also reiterated that there is a need for us to keep things moving forward and future facing, which I think was a very, very good point. And with all of the tech and tools at our disposal now, we should be able to do that. And whilst there isn't a perfect KPI, what is the tech, what is the platforms that are able to enable this at scale. So I hope I've done that justice. What I want to do now is just give you both the opportunity, to provide a closing statement for and against. So, I'll let Paul go first on the against side. I'm going to give you roughly 1 minute each for this, and then we will close and we'll take another poll. Great stuff. So, Paul, over to you.
I'm going to struggle with 1 minute, but let's give it a go. So I spoke to some people in the US. They said brands are now asking for a ROAS, this CPGs, a ROAS of 3.5 on average, plus 25% new to brand sales, right? So it's already happening, right? That's the general day-to-day ask on a CPG campaign is ROAS 3.5 and 25% new to brand sales. What does that actually mean? What's the actual campaign goal? Category growth, product trial for an NPD, awareness, loyalty. Does all that map into brand lift and incrementality? Not necessarily. If you're running a campaign for, I don't know, Gillette Band the Beard, where you're trying to encourage category growth, right, to get more people shaving. If the overall category grows, but your incremental new to brand sales is sub 25%, is that a success, right? This is the sort of thing that worries me if we get obsessed with this new metric. We need a more balanced framework, I think. We also need to understand, what do we mean by incremental? What does the retailer, what can they offer? Mostly it's, did the ad drive lift in my environment? For a brand, usually incremental means, did I gain new buyers overall, right? And we're kind of conflating these two requirements of what we actually mean by incrementality. So my point is, let's stop trying to kind of crown a king here and start thinking about a kind of toolkit of various different types of measurement. And incrementality is definitely part of that, but it's not going to be the only part. I rest my case.
Very good, Paul. Of course, you need more than 1 minute, but no, thanks for
Sorry,
that.
Marta.
Marta, over to you.
Yeah, so how I would argue is that incrementality does give the brands this what they actually want. So if they want to focus on the new users, you can measure what is the incrementality of the campaign based on the new users. Maybe other brand wants to have a loyalty campaign, and also this is something that can be measured within the incrementality testing. And back to your ROAS 3.5, from where I come from, I often have brands wanting ROAS of 5 even, or even 10, because that's, let's say, a cheaper market. But if I want to, as a retail media network, to deliver this, I would simply, push the ads into retargeting, into the last mile of last click of where consumer already wanted to buy, and they don't need this ad to finish and close the deal. Which is simply not something that the brand actually works and has nothing to do with the brand building. So let's come back to building brands, building emotions, and not just shooting, the closing campaigns where ROAS actually put us into this bubble. I agree, incrementality is not the perfect, it's not the holy grail, but let's move to something that is better and keep iterating to the future. I rest my case, please.
Thank you so much, Marta. So I just want to say that was absolutely riveting debate. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Got super excited about this one this week. We decided within the events committee, within our retail and commerce media committee, that we wanted to freshen things up for this great debate and bring more debate. And yeah, we absolutely delivered, and that is all thanks to Paul and Marta. So I'm just gonna summarize those things. So Paul was talking about basically, does the success that brands looking for at the moment, he mentioned the ROAS benchmark of 3.5, new to brand of 25%, how does that actually map into incrementality, and what does success look like, and that we need a more balanced framework. And what do we actually mean by incrementality? And we need a toolkit, as opposed to just one measurement that's king. So I think that's beautifully summed up. And equally, Marta came back with new users is very, very important, and you can narrowcast the targeting to achieve very high ROAS. She mentioned between 5 and 10. But because it's more last mile, last click in nature, you do lose that value around building brands and bringing new people in. So both very, very compelling arguments. I think it's time to take a poll to see if we've changed from that original for and against. Like I said, we had 65% for and 35% against originally. So please, the poll is up on the screen. Please go ahead and vote. Very awkward pause and silence now as we wait for
This
that.
tension is killing me.
Oh, okay. So we've evened it up. We've evened it up
Wow.
a lot. So no, I mean, yeah, this debate is going to rage on for a very, very long time. But look, I think we're all winners in this. Again, I want to really, really thank Paul and Marta. It's incredibly tough being put on the spot like that, and I think you both gave as good as you got, and put each other under a lot of pressure, and that produced an absolutely fantastic event. So thank you so much. I'll hand back to Patricia to continue with the program.
Thank you, Jason. And again, thank you, Paul and Marta. It was really, really interesting to listen to you both. It's always fascinating to see how opinions evolve after hearing both sides of a debate. And this was clearly no exception. So I enjoyed it a lot.